my mission president one time, he gave a training on why São Paulo South was the best mission in the world. He literally, he took a lot of time and made a list about why this was the best mission. I just remember some of these facts. São Paulo South is, I think it is still the second smallest mission in the world. It's like Temple Square and then São Paulo South. And that's really great because there are a ton of people in a really small area, which means you can work effectively and efficiently, where you can just go out every day and find new people to teach. And there's always new people to teach because there's millions of people there. You get to know your areas really well. You can be effective with your time. You don't have to spend a lot of time traveling. So it's really a great, I mean, the field is white already to harvest there. There's a ton of people and you can always find new people. The church is very strong in São Paulo. It's the center of the church in Brazil. And in São Paulo South, there are 11 stakes. So 11 stakes in about what it takes to drive your car, about 2 hours, there are 11 stakes, which means there's a lot of member support. And if you try, you can get a member to go out and teach with you every day, which is crucial in someone's spiritual development, to have a member friend to go through that conversion process with you. São Paulo South was a recently divided mission. It was divided in 2013. And that boundary gave us, it gave the coast to a different mission. So we're focused on the city and a little interior region. It's called the ABC region. So our mission is just one happy cluster of church members. It's a really small area. São Paulo South has a lot of church history. A lot of church leaders, Elder Godoy, Elder Adjukaitis, Elder Costa, a lot of the early apostles and prophets passed through there because it was like the Brazil South missions. It was like half of the country. But São Paulo has always kind of been the epicenter of church growth in Brazil. And so São Paulo South, which is in the city, has a lot of that history in its area. So a lot of the earliest chapels in Brazil and our mission, a lot of the church offices are just a little bit outside of our mission. It's a great area for the church. On the mission, we always talked about how Joseph Smith's story is really applicable because of the same situation, where there are a ton of religions and there's just confusion. Everywhere you go in Brazil, you can see a church. Brazil has a lot of bars. People just open their garage and make a bar. And the running joke is that Brazil has more churches than it has bars because everyone can make a church out of their garage, and that's what they do. And so literally on a street you can have anywhere from 5 to 7 churches just lining the street. And then you go a step above that and you have the bigger churches. You have Congregation of Christ, you have Jehovah's Witnesses, you have the Baptist Church, you have Protestant churches, and you have the Pentecostal churches. And these are kind of the bigger churches, Universal Church and the Church of Grace. Then you have, of course, the LDS Church. A lot of common misconceptions, well, all of every misconception that they can have about the church they do, because I think the adversary has been really strategic about getting some bad rumors out. But the missionaries always debunk these rumors just with good behavior. You know, when you treat people well in the street, the first thing they always say is, "Wow, I'm impressed. I didn't know your church was so great. I'd like to learn more about it." So the best thing you can do with that is just be a good person. Brazilians really respond well to that. A lot of times they'll mistake us for Jehovah's Witnesses. There's one religion, there are a few religions that people should take care to avoid. Which kind of gets into some voodoo and black magic and stuff. And a lot of times people will mistake us for those religions. And so you have to be really careful to say that, no, we are Christians and we believe in Jesus Christ, and we don't do that, to help get the church its correct and proper name among the people. With Brazilians, they are so open and inviting. Literally almost anyone will invite you into their home and listen to you as long as you want. That's dangerous because you can confuse hospitality for interests really easily. And so as representatives of Christ, your first impression cannot be, we're cool people. Your first impression has to be, we were sent here from God to help you with your salvation, your well-being, your exaltation. And so when you do that and you commit them right away to an action, you say, it is a pleasure to meet you. We're representatives of God. You have to be happy. You have to be smiling. You have to transmit some of your joy to those people. And then you have to say, we are here to baptize you. And then you have to say, we have this commitment for you to do. Will you do it? We will come back tomorrow. A lot of Brazilians can do every day. A lot of them, in Sao Paulo, everyone has to work a ton. Like, you'll meet people that leave at 5 in the morning and get back at 1 in the morning. And it's impossible to teach them during the day. And so you have to make some kind of exception for those people. But for the most part, you can usually find a half an hour every day where you can go back and follow up with those commitments. And if you don't commit them really early on, what can happen is you can get led on and have these progressing investigators for weeks that never progress. And so the most important thing you can do to help someone progress is really monitor their progress. Are you reading? What are you learning? What did you understand from the reading? How do you feel about this? Did you pray about it? What was your answer? Did you not get an answer? Let's talk a little bit more about your answer. Just you really have to facilitate their process. And then if you do that, they will progress and they will get baptized. But you have to be a little bold, because Brazilians are really polite and they'll be like, yeah, we'll do that. No, don't worry. No, you can leave it to us. We will do it. And you have to be like, I am telling you this is what you need to do. Will you do it? What can I do to help you? I'm committing you to do this. And when you do that, people will take it seriously and they'll progress. You can't get into this habit where you're like, oh, they'll do it next time. You have to be a little bold with them. So in our mission, it varies quite a bit because we have 11 stakes. The church is really strong. But most of the strength in the church comes from good families, like everywhere. And so in an area, my second area, I was sent by my mission president. I was new, and my companion was even newer than I was. And we got there, and before we could even start proselyting, the stake president wanted a meeting with us and the bishop. He brings us into his office and he says, elders, I asked the mission president for 2 miracles because this ward needs your help. And he explained to us that if we didn't baptize 10 men, that ward would close. Because there were, I think at that time, there were 6 members of the church, priesthood holders, and a Relief Society of about 30, 35. And it was a ward of over 600 people. And so that was a hard ward. The missionaries blessed and passed the sacrament every week. We were in ward council and executive committee. It was us and the bishop, and that was it. A lot of the other priesthood holders just were too busy, or they couldn't go, or they didn't go, or they were against the church, or they were inactive. But that was, I think, one of my most inspiring areas, is just to see the dedicated members and their perseverance and their faith. A lot of miracles happened in that area. I went to another area where the attendance was weekly, close to 200 people, and that was a great area to serve in as well. Because you see the faith of the people, and you see their decidedness in keeping their covenants every single week. And so in São Paulo South, you can get this kind of eclectic feel where you'll go to an area where the church is really strong, and you go to an area where the church is not as strong. And they're really close together, which is funny. Overall, the church is really strong. You can get a lot of resources in São Paulo that you can't get in other places in Brazil. I started in Saúde, which is kind of in the richer part of the inner city. Because in Brazil it's reversed. Usually in the city are the richer people, and in the exterior are the poor people. So I went in Saúde, and then I went to Vila Clara, which is in the zone Piratininga. And then I went to Americanópolis. And then I went to Rio Grande da Serra. And then I went to Alvarenga, in a place called Parque Doroteia. And then I went to Zaira, in a place called Mauá, which has some hills that you would not believe. It is so hilly. That is the area that everyone talks about in the mission, where your tie can scrape the ground as you're walking up some of these hills. So that was a fun place to end my mission.